EuroFM podcast. FM without frontiers.
Hi there, this is the first podcast we are recording from the workplace events in Birmingham. My name is Natalie Hofman, and as the chair of EuroFM, I'm the moderator of this podcast. Next to me is one of our practitioners, so please, Roderick, introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Rod Miller. I am the head of workplace operations and experience at UKTV.
Okay, thank you very much. And then we do have Pleun van Deurssen. Introduce yourself.
Hi there, yes, my name is Pleun. I'm a board member EuroFM on the educational focus, and I'm a lecturer in facilities management, workplace and property.
So it's good to have both practitioners, but also the person who is related to our young professionals on our stage. So the first question is really a difficult one. How do you see our experience changing, our profession, facility management? How is it changing the upcoming years, and how does it change the last years? Can you say something about it, Rod?
So from my personal experience, it's become a lot more about the people, particularly after COVID. A lot more people focused and trying to create a destination for people to come. Yeah. A lot of people got really comfortable and it was convenient for them to stay at home following COVID. A lot of companies went into hybrid working, 2 to 3 days a week in the office, a couple of days at home. And we now have this huge gap in society, this massive gap between people. Yeah. People don't want to come into the office. They will save money on travel, they save money on food. So for us as workplace facilities management practitioners, it is our job to encourage people to come back into the office and to display the importance of being together into that environment, sort of nourishes the creative juices and gets people thinking and collaborating in a positive way.
Yeah. And does that also ask a different role of your team, of your facility management team?
Absolutely. It's not always about the fire alarm system. It's not about first aid trainers, although these are very, very important. It's very much about understanding what kind of office space people want to come to. Yeah. And you have to want them to come to that space. And you have numerous different types of people and attitudes. Yes. I'm one who loves to be around people. I'm rather loud, I'm quite gregarious. But you have people who, although they want to be in the workplace, they need a quiet space. Yes. Those on the neurodiverse spectrum, it's very important to make sure you are catering for the numerous demographics that you have in your office space.
Yeah.
And if I can add to that as well, because what you see, of course, is the individual becomes more, like what you say as well, right? The individual becomes more important. And I think we are so stuck on this activity-based learning. I think we almost need to get away from that again, where we really focus on individual persons. Of course, the office is a place to collaborate. That's a place where we come together. But a lot of the time, we also still need to do our own jobs and individual work in an office. And I think the diversity of office types becomes it's increasing. We also need dark spaces, light spaces, comfortable spaces, not so comfortable spaces. And not everything needs to be that ergonomic as we think it needs to be, because people prefer to sit on a beanbag and just lay as if they were home.
Yes.
So I think that's also changing. And I think we need to kind of try and get away from the whole static workplace design and make it more tailored to the individual.
But what you also see is during COVID that there were maybe the mid-size organizations which doesn't work at home at all. They stayed at the office. And that's what you see, is that there is also a lot of experience about staying at the office instead of working at home. So I think it's also it's typical for an organization what you need to have.
Yeah, but also I think the people who stay home are often the established leaders.
Yes.
And slightly older generations. The people who come to the office are the younger generation because they want to learn. They want to get out of smaller homes, but they also want to look up to their mentor. They want to learn from their mentor. They want to shadow their mentor. And the only place to do so is in a physical workplace environment.
True.
How do you experience that, Rod?
Yeah, it's absolutely. It's impossible for you to really pick up the essence and how somebody actually fulfills their role on a tiny screen in your own living room.
Yeah.
You know, you need to be, as you said, you need to be around that person. You need to experience and watch them interact with people from various different levels of employment, you know, from executive leadership to middle management to those who are, you know, the 9 to 5 results.
And is it also something about status, about if you want to be or become a leader, then you also need to be there instead of being at home? Is that also, is that changing? Is that a thing of the new generation who is thinking maybe having an office or maybe having my own place somewhere is giving me also some status in my job career? Or isn't that the case?
If I listen to my students, it's not so much the case, to be honest. Because if I speak to the students who are graduating now or recently graduated, they prefer to work 3, max 4 days a week. They prefer to come to the office because it's better. But they also want to have the flexibility to say, like, okay, if I am done, I want to go home earlier or go to work later. So they want to come to the office, but on their own terms. And I think it doesn't then matter if they have their own space or not. They just want to be part of something. That sense of belonging becomes a lot more prominent.
100%. They want to be able to connect. And I think what many businesses are missing is how people connect with a company. And forcing them to come to the office is not going to work. They're going to instantly rebel, especially considering that we were all at home for, you know, a year and a half, and then we kind of came back maybe 2 or 3 days. To then enforce a 5-day week is very, very challenging, and people instantly rebel against that. They need that flexibility, as you said. You know, even having core days, like, you need to be in Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. Well, what if my son has football on Wednesday? What if I have to collect my daughter from nursery on Tuesday? I'd rather come in on Monday, which is a quieter day. So how it's finding those levels and that balance for all of your staff. You know, you have young people who are just here to socialize and are more in that mind frame, but then you have working parents, and then you have older members of staff who maybe their children have moved out of the house. So there's so many demographics you have to cater for.
Do you think, sorry to ask a question, but do you think if we actually let it go, so if we don't say you have to come in 3, 4, or 5 days a week, do you think the office will then, or the occupation in the office will actually spread out, or will you still see the real peaks, do you think?
I think there'll still be peaks, but I do think eventually there will be an evening out because, as I said, that enforcement, it kind of forces people to rebel. Giving them the option, giving them that freedom, I think they will see that, oh, my company really cares about, you know, my personal life and what I have to do and what my responsibilities outside of work are. So you will get people engaging a lot more and buying into company behaviors and values.
And to get that engagement, to make your strategy, your policies, which departments do you need to cooperate with? Because it's not only a case of HR. It's also the facility management department, the IT departments, and also the leaders need to think about together, what do I need to prepare to also give my employees that experience that they need?
There's a lot of collaboration that needs to happen. Then it needs to be open, it needs to be honest. I have found in facilities that there's a level of transparency that people feel that they come to us and let us know how they're feeling. That feedback needs to be taken back to the leaders. And they in turn need to implement that in what they're doing. It's all well and good receiving all of this information, but if you're then going to do what you want to do anyway, people are going to fail to engage in that. So it's very important for management to listen to what people want to do and then implement that.
And do you think, I don't know, do you have in your team younger generations? Are they prepared to this change of our workplace environments? How are they educated? How can you prepare them, or do they already know what everybody wants?
That's really interesting. A lot of them are very much aware of the new workspace and what the expectations are, what can be achieved. There are some that come. It's interesting because we do have quite a young contingent in our company who come in with massive expectations of what it's going to be. And maybe they'll be a little bit disappointed when they get there. But for the most part, people have a full understanding of what's to be expected when you come to. What am I going to get when I come to the office? I'm going to have a workplace social. I'm going to have access to coffee and breakfast and fresh fruit and all of that sort of stuff. And so it's important for us as the workplace facilities team to build on that. Engage more with that.
And I think also Pleun, at the other hand, what can you do at a university to also inform and to teach your young professionals what and how they take this ride into a new environment?
I think that's really interesting. I don't necessarily believe in generational differences because I do think that it's a personal difference. I think we are also different, that it doesn't necessarily comes down to when you were born and what kind of time. What we do see now is that there's a very individualistic kind of trend going on where everyone wants to be alone. They want to make their own decisions. They want to work alone because then they know it's good. And that's something that we really need to teach our students. Okay, you will be working in teams later. So how can you actually kind of tailor to that? And I don't think that's always through knowledge in a way like hard knowledge, as in models and theories and experience and stuff. But it's also just about how do I behave among other people? How do I communicate to other people? How do I talk to a CEO? How do I speak to a lecturer? And how do I talk to the operational team? And I think that's something that we need to teach as role models in a way, like the lecturers, but also the managers in the workplace, our placement companies. That's what's going to be important. How do I behave? When can I say A and when can I not say A, B and C? When should I just keep quiet? And that's the younger students or the younger generation at the moment, they are very open and they say a lot, and sometimes I feel like maybe you should say a little less.
Yeah, that's true. I think we all recognize that one.
Absolutely, 100%.
Yeah, it is. Well, it's also what I think. There are some typicals in an organization which you can't frame in one spot. For example, people with autism.
Yes.
And if you have a very open office and you are engaging a lot of networking, but you know that there is also a group who wants to be silent, who don't want to network, how do you cope with that? Do you have a special program or something for them?
That's a huge challenge, and it's a challenge that we are currently undertaking at the moment. It's trying to find in our very open plan office areas in the office where people who have neurodiverse needs can function, so they can be away and sort of do focus work, but close enough to their team in order to collaborate. And that's a very difficult thing to balance. And again, it goes back to that engagement and asking, what do you need? What is beneficial for you in this office? I mean, we've got areas in our office where some of the lights are turned down a little bit more. A particular type of desk is in a particular area. We've got pods and, you've seen them all around here. Designated spaces for those people to work and the option for them to go back into a normal working space and collaborate with their team. It's that flexibility is essential in order for a successful workplace and work environment.
Yeah.
And also don't be scared to not go with the flow. I think to try those things, you have to, in a way, just be, you need to have guts to just say like, all right, we go back to assigned desks. People with certain needs, they need to have the same desks every day. They need to know that the desk is exactly the way they left it last night. don't touch it. Don't then force an open plan office on them if it doesn't work. And I know it's a trend, I know it's great, but sometimes you just need to go with what feels best opposed to what others tell you. And I think that's something, it requires guts. And I don't think we're always there yet, but I do think there's room and flexibility, which you just mentioned, coming slowly in the workplace that it's made possible.
Yeah, I agree. We've got several members of staff who, as you've just noted, they need a particular desk in this particular position in the office. That's actually not that big a deal.
No.
You know, it's not a massive problem. If you've got 400 staff in a company and you've got 200 odd desks and you've given them a few days, 2 days a week minimum to be in the office, you will be able to find a space where that person or those people can work. And you end up getting the best out of those people, 100%.
And by also changing this attitude and this behavior around working, what you see is that you see now different spots are more used. For example, the coffee machine is maybe more important than before. Having parking places or a good connection to public transport becomes more important than before. Do you recognize that? Or
100%, absolutely.
Yes.
So we're very lucky in Hammersmith. We have two stations that we can see from our office, and they serve 4 different lines. So access into the area is fantastic. It's very leafy, and that's very important for people. The biophilic nature of the environment, that's something that we are trying to implement inside as well as outside. We've introduced a roof terrace, for example. Some people, they love the sun. They suffer from SAD. So when the weather starts to change, they want some fresh air, they want to be outside, they have the opportunity to do that. So it's really important to, again, go back to being flexible and being agile in terms of not just the physical space, but mentally how you approach certain things. I think that's really important.
Yeah. Well, I understand. I also. What's your opinion about it? How you dealing with these kind of things? New coffee, new ways of looking around.
I just think observe, and I think one way to do so is through data. It doesn't always have to be like your technical data. It can also be observations through like your workplace checks or your walk arounds or whatever. But see what's happening in the business. Yeah. If I look at my own company, and I don't know why, we have different coffee machines throughout the campus, of course, with different coffee. Silly, because what happens is we have the best coffee, so now people from other buildings come and get that coffee at our place, which makes the queue immense. Nothing is being done about it. So if you see that the queue is so much longer, either change your coffee in the other coffee machines or put a second machine next to it. Does it look nice? Maybe not, but does it serve a purpose and you create happy employees? Yes. So really, what I mentioned earlier, be flexible and be open. See what's happening around you and anticipate.
But that's, I think, also a little bit of a problem. What we have in our profession is we always work with long-term contracts. Yeah. So a building is rented for a long term. A coffee machine is maybe rented or maybe bought for a long term. So if you want to change these kinds of concepts, it's difficult to do that within a short term.
And I think those constraints force people in our industry to fear failure. We cannot be afraid to fail.
No.
Because that's how inevitably we will learn. Okay, that didn't work. We need to try something else. They've tried multiple coffee machines, multiple different brands of coffee, and you've realized, this one's really popular. Fine, we'll get rid of the ones in the other floors. Yeah. And as you said, Pleun, we'll diversify and we'll change. And I know in my own office, we found a coffee that works. It's great. Yeah. But 3 months later, they'll get bored and they'll want something else. So we just instantly continue to change things up.
Often our supply chain is willing to think with us. They also realize if they don't move along, they lose the contract. Yeah. So we just need to ask. Yeah. And also use new knowledge, use students. We have so many students in so many different universities, either studying facilities management or supply chain management, whatever. Let them start thinking about new concepts of the future. How can a flexible contract work? And I think that's a mindset that we need to start thinking in. What will work? How can we make it work? Instead of being always scared of, it doesn't work because it never worked in the past, or we're stuck to a 10-year contract or a 5-year contract.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's true. Well, then maybe as a last question, what's the biggest struggle the upcoming years for you in your profession? What's keeping you awake?
Budget.
But that's a good one, because it was for long term. It was not on our list. It's coming now again.
Being
savings.
All of these things that we have spoken about, they take money.
Yeah.
The testing and learning of and creating these new environments and buying of resources, all of this takes a lot of money, and it's convincing the powers that be need to invest, need to try new things. I appreciate, and the thing is, we as an industry, we're not necessarily a revenue generating industry.
Yeah.
Not really. In the office, my team doesn't generate anything. We spend a lot.
Yeah.
But we don't generate a lot of funds. So it's trying to convince them that, this is going to be beneficial because, it aligns with the workplace behaviors. It aligns with the company values. You're bringing more people in. They're happier to be here. So you're getting the better work out of them.
Yeah.
And the knock-on effect, the positive knock-on effect that has, that's the biggest challenge that we face coming up.
I understand completely. Oh, thank you. And for you, Pleun, what's your
I think one of the biggest challenges that we face is not being efficient. We have so many tools on our hands now, and we don't use them properly.
No.
We are all swamped in work. We had a conversation yesterday talking about when I was still in operations. I never really had time to look out what's happening because I was so busy in work. And if we just do our things more efficient and more clever, we have time to look out, we have time to learn, we have time to kind of make things better.
That's true. Well, thank you, Rod and Pleun, for this EuroFM podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
EuroFM podcast. FM without frontiers.